Okay, it's past 2 o'clock. I ask everybody if you'll stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lisa, would you please read the opening statement and call the roll?
Yes. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority sent its annual meeting schedule for August 2019 through July 2020, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the Clerk of Atlantic City. The notice was published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Camden Courier Post, and the Newark Star Ledger on July 22nd, 2019, and July 23rd, 2019. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs at today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the authority, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board today will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion at the end of the meeting. We ask that members of the public who address the board stand and state their name and address for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Lodia Butler.
Present.
Deborah DiLorenzo.
Present.
Ed Gant.
Here.
Mark Gianantonio. Michael Hanley.
Here.
Gary Hill.
Here.
Howard Kyle.
Here.
William Mullen.
Here.
James Closis.
Here.
Dave Rebuck for the State Attorney General. Bob Shaughnessy for the State Treasurer. Rob Long for the DCA Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Mayor Marty Small.
Here.
Vice Chairman Richard Tolson.
Here.
Chairman Robert Mulcahy.
Here. Thank you, Lisa. Before we go into business of the meeting, there are 2 introductions I would like to make. The first is to welcome our new mayor, Marty Small, to the board and to the CRDA. He was gracious enough to call me on the phone, pledged his cooperation that we work together, and I think there are a lot of things there that we can do together for the benefit of Atlantic City, and I look forward to that relationship.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The second one is we have a new chief counsel. As you know, Paul Weiss left, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you Monica Del Rios. Monica?
Thank you.
I think that's all we have, man.
Yes, sir.
We got anybody else new?
Not yet.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is ratification of the minutes of the September 17th, 2019 board meeting. I assume you've all read them. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve them?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, or changes that anybody wishes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain.
That's fine. That's proper, too. The next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's report. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to bring everyone a report on the summer entertainment funding. This is money that was provided from CRDA for events throughout the city. So there was $963,000 invested in summer entertainment that activated the boardwalk at Kennedy Plaza for 7 nights a week in July and August. Also concerts at Gardner's Basin and movie showings twice a week at Bartram Ave and Gardner's Basin. 70 concerts were held at Kennedy Plaza. These included Broadway on the Boardwalk, Tribute Tuesdays, Mardi Gras AC, Chicken Bone Beach Jazz Series, and 609 summer concerts. There were 13 movies that were shown. There were 3 concerts at Gardner's Basin. A total attendance of estimated at 58,000 people, tracked by our ambassadors, which came out to a $16.60 per person investment. When we look at Destinations International for an economic impact, the economic impact on that is about $9.2 million for CRDA's investment for summer of 2019.
Thank you.
Question, Mr. Chairman. How do the ambassadors track the attendance?
Physically counted. Physically counted with clickers.
58,000.
They counted every person at every movie, every show, every outdoor concert with clickers.
Okay.
At the highest time. Old school, like usher, movie theater usher style.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, we'll move to the regular agenda. We have 4 land use items. The first one is Rigoberto Alvarez and Eric Alvarez on Fairmount Avenue, Block 339, lots 1 and 78. Site plan approval with variances. You want Lance to do or you going to do it?
Yeah, Lance, you want to explain this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Executive Director. The El Charro Restaurant had made application for about a 1,547 square foot addition, both internal and external to the structure. An outdoor deck of roughly 235 square feet, and a first and second floor additions of 586 and 726 square feet. In doing that, they needed several variances to do that. The major one is parking. Obviously, it's an existing site. They have roughly 13 spaces on site. The parking demand would be up over 120 spaces for that entire site. The increase would be less than that, maybe another 10 or 20 spaces being required with the additions. A lot of variances for signage, some extending into the right-of-way, which they will need a license from the city to do that, and also some outdoor dining space in cafe style along the sidewalk, which they would also need approval from the city for a license. The planning director from the city was there at our hearing, and she seemed to be okay with that, but they would have to make application to city council to get that approval. The variances seemed reasonable, and they provided adequate testimony through their professionals, and we recommend that the board approve those variances and minor site plan.
Okay, Lisa, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor site plan approval with variance relief to renovate and expand property located at 2430 Fairmount Avenue, Block 339, lots 1 and 78, in the city of Atlantic City, in the Ducktown Arts Zoning District, under application 2019-08-2725.
Anybody need to be recused? I think we've had an adequate description of the property. Matt, is there anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
Board discussion.
So the parking issue, say, they only have 13 spots, but they should have 120?
The demand based on a restaurant use would be 120 spaces, but it's a neighborhood bar and restaurant.
Right.
A lot of people walk there today with Uber and Lyft. It's on a transportation route, so there's a lot of people that come to the facility already by other modes of transportation.
So no additional parking? Because
There's really no space for it. We did have them amend their places they had in the layout. It didn't provide good access. The parking in the very back is now going to be for employees only, because you can't get the vehicles in and out. So we made it a little safer. I think they lost one space with that new design. But we'd rather have what they have on site safe and allow people to get in and out that can get those parking spaces.
What about community input or feedback? Anything?
We had the immediate adjoining neighbor come to the hearing. He was in support of it. He's actually immediately adjacent to the north side automotive repair facility. He was thrilled to have the neighbor improving their property. The exterior renovation of the property will also be very noticeable.
Other comments from board members?
Mr. Chairman, if you can let the record reflect, I have to get used to this board. They said there's no roll call votes. Since I'm just taking on this position and I don't have the proper knowledge to vote yea or nay, I'm going to abstain on all action,
I got it. It's fine.
just for today.
You will next time you'll get all the material in
Yes.
advance and be ready to go.
Yes.
No other board discussion, public discussion. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Yes, Jeff.
Just real quick, I think our parking restrictions are too stringent in the town. It used to have 75,000 residents. There's parking everywhere in the main garages and stuff like that. People do like to talk or walk. I've been in El Charro probably a half dozen times this year. It beats Johnny Gibbons where people used to get shot dead. It's a nice run establishment and it's much better than what was there.
Excuse me. We don't usually do that.
Great commercial for El Charro.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Other public comment? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the resolution.
Moved.
It's been moved by Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mo. Any further comment from board members? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those so ordered, note the abstention of the mayor. The next item on the agenda is the Sean Reardon, 138 South Bellevue Avenue, Block 36, Lot 75, use variance release. Lisa, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting variance relief pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-70D to convert a multifamily dwelling into a single-family dwelling on property located at 138 South Bellevue Avenue in the city of Atlantic City, Block 36, Lot 73, under application 2018-09-2495.
Thank you, Lisa. Anybody need to be recused? This is interesting, multifamily going back to single family. That's good. Lance?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application is as you indicated, to reduce the number of units on the lot. The home was originally built as a single-family home, probably back in the early 1900s, 1920s or so. Mr. Reardon's here if he knows the exact date, I'm not sure, but it was converted at some point into a 3-unit, a triplex development. He wants to make it his own home, and he's done some of the work now and then wants to bring it back as a single-family home. The RC district in which this is in does not permit single-family homes. So we would recommend that the area in the neighborhood is mostly similar type uses that started out as single-family. They're multifamily, and the density there is really causing some problems in that neighborhood. There's no parking. There's a lot of many units in a small space. I believe this lot's only 14 or 15 feet wide. So it really makes sense to allow this to go back there. They provided the testimony on the record that meets the use variance criteria, and we would agree with it.
And if I could add to that, the location is beach block. So when you look at other beach towns, beach block, single-family homes are not prohibited on beach block. In many cases, they're preferred. So it makes a lot of sense to go back to single-family, to permit single-family rather. And it also helps grow a community because you'll have more owner-occupied properties as opposed to, rentals where you have 3 units in the property. Lance is also, in conjunction with this, working on changing the regulations so that folks who want to convert in the future from multifamily to single-family, particularly on beach block, don't have to come before the board for a variance. That's going to take a little bit of time though.
Board discussion.
And what was the rationale behind originally prohibiting multifamily?
In 1978, when the city of Atlantic City changed their zoning to permit casinos, that was their directive. When we created our regulations in 2018, we mirrored that. There wasn't a whole lot of residential development, single family being looked at the time. It's something that we're looking to in the future. We're seeing some of that potentially come up in the Southeast Inlet. Similar zone, doesn't permit single family. But I think Matt's comment is on point. This can encourage a new type of development, maybe second home ownership coming down here. So that's something that we'd really like to promote, not prohibit.
Great, thank you.
Other comments from board members? Public comment. Mr. Cheatham?
What I'm hearing here sounds as if you're trying to build a new community of residents, of people that would care more for around their surroundings. And that sounds good to me, because I remember the way our city used to be. It's gradually getting back to where it used to be, little by little, drip by drip. Let's hope this drip starts dripping a little bit more. That's all I ask.
Yes, sir, in the back. No, it's you, sir.
Sonny Ireland, I'm a neighbor, and I'm glad that you can see the sense in going back to the way it was, and for all the reasons that you said. What I don't understand is you said it's going to take some time. It seems like if it was refused, it could be done with a stroke of a pen. We can't do that. But if it's going to be approved, why is it going to take some time?
No, I think you misunderstood. We're approving this today.
I understand.
What Matt was talking about, the regulations
I understand.
change the zoning ordinance,
I understand.
have to go through a process. That's the problem.
That's what I don't understand. Why does the process have to take
We
so
didn't
much
write the
time?
law.
It's like you're already prepared, it's gonna take a long while, and let's just,
So if you
don't
look
let
at
it
the-
take a long time.
If you look at the map behind you, all the white area, the city has land use jurisdiction, so they can pass an ordinance to change their land use. In the yellow is the jurisdiction of CRDA. Because we're a state authority, it's changing a state rule.
I remember
So
that.
it was part of a rulemaking process. It's much more involved than simply a first reading, second reading,
I understand.
passage, and then implementation.
But are we gonna get started on whatever those wheels have to do?
Already have.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Is Mr. Reardon here?
Yeah. Sean Reardon, applicant. Appreciate the comments, Matt and Lance, on the property. Quick, recap, anybody ever heard my story? I came here 3 years ago and took interest in the Texas Ave and Bellevue Beach blocks. I know people like Howard have grown up there and been there, and I encourage everybody to stop by if you can. I mean, we actually have a guy that I hire who does trash can valet service in the neighborhood. We put out every single person's trash can. There's 89 trash cans on Texas Ave alone that get put out every week. Sweep the streets, we clean them up, and obviously I bought about a dozen properties in this area in the last couple of years. And my only suggestion to the board is that obviously I understand that there are state ordinances that you have to go through a process to make this change happen. But this is something that's been underway for a while. My initial discussions about this exact case started almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I think that we could do better, meaning the board could do better on getting this move forward quicker, because I think this would, like Mr. Cheatham said, make that drip maybe a little bit quicker. You have these homes, and this process right here is awfully cost prohibitive when you're talking about buying, maybe a 70 or 80 or $100,000 property. The average homeowner might only want to spend 20, 30, or 40 grand renovating it. To have to go through the process of hiring architects, engineers, site planners, have professional testimony, put money in CRDA's escrow fund for this so that they can bill their own professionals to review your professional stuff. It's counterproductive to actually getting this all fixed. And I'd love if the board could make these changes happen a lot quicker, and we could make this something that people want to come down and do, and there's not so many roadblocks per se to get it done.
I think, Matt or Rick Vance, you may want to comment on this, but I think once we get an application, we try and act pretty quickly on it.
We do, and Mr. Reardon's application was delayed quite a bit in getting it deemed complete. The process that we use is the same process once a submission is received as any municipality in the state of New Jersey. So that process takes, from start to finish, can take as little as 2 months.
Okay.
What I think Sean was referring to was the process of changing our regs.
Right.
And that is a much longer process, and we are moving forward with that. The section that actually deals with this has been rewritten already. It's the other stuff we're looking at, signage. There's a lot of other things we're looking at amending to make the process easier for everybody across the board.
But at the same time, by the way, if people are looking to convert from multifamily to single family, they should come in, complete an application, and get it in front of the board
Right.
as well.
We had two months ago that were rooming houses that were being converted to duplexes. So that's also the same process as this, because it's a use variance. 'Cause it's not, 2 units is not considered multifamily, so it's not permitted in this zone either. But it's coming through, it's starting to work.
Any other public comment, Jeff?
Just a real quick comment. In any other town, when you go and say, I'm lowering density, they all but give you a kiss on the cheek. They can't wait for it to happen, especially in the seashore towns. What Sonny is referring to and what Sean's referring to, I would agree. If you can streamline this regulation, because on a daily basis, it stops people from wanting to come into this town on a smaller basis, and we need that small guy back. So if you can do the one regulation without the sign regulation, do it. I know that it's a double legislature thing, but I don't care about that. When Sonny stood and spoke and stuff like that, what's happened is the people, the residents of Atlantic City have gotten impatient, and they want everything streamlined. And thank you for moving in the direction that seems to make sense.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve.
Motion to accept.
Second. Moved by Gary, seconded by
Jim.
Jim. Any further comment from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next item on the agenda, New York Orange Deeds, is that the way this is?
Yes, sir.
LLC, it's 161, 205 South New York Avenue and 118, 142 St. James Place. Block 52, lots 11 through 18 and 30 through 40. It's a minor subdivision and amended site plan approval with variance. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor subdivision approval and amended site plan approval with variance relief to modify an approved site plan for a mixed-use project and renovate a restaurant on an adjacent property to property located at 161 through 205 New York Avenue and 118 to 142 St. James Place, Block 52, lots 11 through 18 and 30 to 40, in the city of Atlantic City in the Resort Commercial Zoning District under application 2019-08-2740.
Any recusals? Mr. Hill is asked to be recused on this issue. Description of the action requested, Lance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This and the next application are linked together. The first one is a minor subdivision to realign a lot line along the rear of the parcel. If you recall the shipping container hotel that came in.
Right.
So this is the lot line that divides that and the next application. The application on New York Avenue 151, which is the following one, needed an extra 10 or so feet in order to put an addition on the building to effectuate the application you'll hear next, which is a new restaurant. So they needed a little extra space. The owners are friendly, I think partners on some of the lots as well. So they agreed to realign this lot line and actually take a strip that will come from New York Avenue all the way to St. James Place to allow pedestrian access to complete that orange loop idea. So they needed some variances for this. They were creating reduced setbacks on their own lot. There'll be variances as well on the new lot with the Cardinal Bistro restaurant. So there are several variances here, nothing that's too egregious. The lot size is getting larger on one and smaller on the other. Some of the rear yard setbacks, 9 feet is required, where 20 feet is 9 feet is proposed and 20 feet is required. We had a hearing on September 5th, a lot of testimony that day, and I don't believe we had any neighbors come out for or against that application. This will abut the 10,000 square foot retail building that's on St. James Place. That's part of the New York Orange Deed site plan. If you recall, it was a retail building, the boutique hotel, and the outdoor entertainment space.
Is that the container one?
Yes. The retail building would not be the container building. That would be a brand new structure.
The container building's giving up 10 feet.
So it's a long lot there. So it's the Bouret restaurant, the container boutique hotel, the parking lot, and then the 10,000 square foot retail space.
How's the container boutique hotel doing?
So it's in phases. Matt and I just actually ran into Mr. Fasano last week. They are now finishing up the parking lot. They'll finish that probably in the next few weeks. Over the next several months through the winter, they'll start construction on the boutique hotel maybe in the springtime. He wants to be open for next spring.
Okay. Board discussion.
That's the old Mama Mott restaurant, correct?
That's correct.
It'd be nice to see that get energized again.
Absolutely.
Any other board comment? Public comment? Mr. Cheatham.
You know, it sounds like we got people working together. You know, that sounds real great. I'm glad to hear that. Really, it's what our town needs. Needs more of that. People working together to better things. It sounds real good. I might live around here to see things happen.
We sure hope so. We expect it. Any other comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the variance.
Move.
Been moved by Mike, seconded by Jim. All those, any further discussion from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item on the agenda is a similar variance. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor site plan approval with variance relief to renovate and expand property located at 143 through 151 South New York Avenue and 118 to James Place, Block 52, lots 5 and 6, and a portion of lots 39 and 40 in the city of Atlantic City in the Resort Commercial Zoning District under application 2019-08-2739.
Gary, I assume you're recusing yourself on this one. Any other recusals? Lance, you want to continue? This fits next to the other one, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the last one, I promise.
It's all right.
This, as I indicated in the previous application, is the sister application where they needed some space to make a larger kitchen, refrigerator box, and a lot of other things to make the restaurant on this location work better. This is a new restaurant coming into town in the old Mama Mott's site that will gain that space to the rear to make the addition as well as the access to St. James Place. Some of the three variances that are required is parking. There's a 59 space, there's no spaces on the site now. So they have a 59 space credit to their name that's grandfathered in with the previous use. So the addition to the site would generate another 3 additional parking spaces. So that's where the variance lies here. It's a 3 parking space variance. They're not providing any. There is parking on the adjacent lot that Mr. Fasano is developing. It's under construction now. And across New York Avenue, there's probably 400 or 500 parking spaces in a lot there. It's a pay lot.
Wow.
They need a rear yard setback, as I indicated, to that new subdivision line of 2.55 feet, where 20 is required. And this lot still will be undersized. Minimum is 7,500 square feet. They'll only have 7,393 square feet. So those are the 3 variances associated with the application.
And you're recommending?
Yes, sir.
Before I ask for a board discussion, I think it's kind of encouraging today, as Mr. Cheatham said, we're starting to see people interested in doing things in the city that are not big, gross projects. While we still like those, we want the smaller people in the city to be able to impact the lives of the city in a positive way, and I think this is the beginning of some of that. I don't know if I said it exactly the way I meant, but I think it's a very positive sign. Board discussion. Public comment. Motion to adopt.
Moved.
It's been moved by Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shaughnessy. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Thank you. Before I go into the other action items, I do want to note that the freeholder Ernest Corsi's here, who's also the chief of staff for the new mayor. That's correct. Am I right there, Marty?
Assuming all goes well.
Okay, maybe I was a little premature. And Councilman Marsh is also here. Where's Councilman?
Right there.
Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while since
I'll
we
be here
met.
more often.
Yeah, it's Speedy, right?
Yes, sir.
It's been a while since we sat down.
I'm looking forward to meeting with you again.
Anytime.
The meeting is always pleasant, and I appreciate your time.
We will be happy to meet anytime.
Thank you.
I love your nickname anyway.
That was a long time ago.
Okay, now we have some action items. Environmental Consulting Services, approval of Spectre Venue Management's award of a contract in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,200,000 to Environmental Design Incorporated and Brinkerhoff Environmental Services Incorporated for services on an as-needed basis. So Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Are you going out of order?
Yeah, this I got over.
Huh?
Yeah, we.
This is what I have next.
Painting services. You might be looking at your committee agenda.
Yeah, maybe.
No,
No, it's out of order, you're right.
they gave me the wrong order.
Painting services.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault. So the next item, painting services, approval of Spectre Venue Management's award of contracts in an aggregate amount not to exceed $250,000 to Dowco Painting Company Incorporated and Zurich Nano Contracting for services on an as-needed basis. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving Spectre Venue Management's award of professional services agreements for painting services on an as-needed basis at Boardwalk Hall in the Atlantic City Convention Center to Dowco Painting Company Incorporated and Siriano Contracting with an aggregate spending authorization not to exceed $250,000 for a one-year period.
Anybody need to be recused? This bid was publicly advertised in the Press of Atlantic City and the Courier Post on July 11th and 12th, and on boardwalkhall.com from July 11th through August 8th. We received 3 bids, 2 which were deemed non-responsive because they failed to provide all of the required documents. 1 was deemed responsive, and that's the one that you have, Dowco Painting Company. So the recommendation from the committee is to award to Dowco Painting Company in an amount not to exceed $250,000 on an as-needed basis for 1 year. As everybody understands, when we do these as needed, it depends upon the project that comes up, and then we get a price before we go ahead. So, board discussion.
Excuse me, I believe that was revised to also include Siriano contracting. There were 2 painting contractors to be approved.
You just read one, Bob.
I only have one here.
On the agenda over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Sirignano. Yeah, Dowco and Sirignano. I'm sorry, I thought I read that. Everybody understand?
Yes.
Okay. Board discussion. Public comment. Yes, sir.
Yes, I see that, and the one you read out of order, but they total $1.5 million. I wonder if any of these contracts that are awarded, especially to painting, have any mandated for training of individuals. I mean, you award all these big contracts, people come from the outside, do what they gotta do, leave. Is there any way to impose some training? I'm talking about to change a person's life with a trade.
Jobs training.
Yeah, sure.
Tolson.
Hey, Rich, go ahead.
The building trades in Atlantic City, Atlantic County, and throughout the state of New Jersey have provided training recognized by the United States Department of Labor, shared with the helmet to hard hats for returning vets for a long, long time now. I have personally been involved in training in Atlantic City for Atlantic City residents as far back as Mayor Jim Whalen, God rest his soul, and throughout Atlantic County. So they do, those programs do exist. The results of those programs do exist, where we just don't train for a job, we train for a career, and we will continue to do that and make available to the general public and anyone else who's interested to take advantage of those training programs.
Do you mind if I respond?
Sure.
I appreciate what you said, Richard, but that did answer the question to what I was speaking about, these specific contracts that are given out. I understand you might have a feeder. Oh, excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
The ones that were mentioned here today specifically are signed to collective bargaining agreements that do provide training. So yes, those 2 painting contractors that were identified, I know for a fact that they provide training.
Okay, then the response to you then, do you have a feeder program in your, what you just spoke about, that involves Atlantic City young people that can get into your program to feeder into some of these contracts?
Well, I represent trout trades, not painters, but through the building trades, those programs are available to anyone in the general public.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and forth, but I don't think could it be publicized? I appreciate it, Richard. What you said was fine. Could it then be publicized that what it is available? I'll leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah, we can publicize what's available, that's not a problem.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. By the next meeting, that could be done, so it can get out to the public.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, any other public comment? Jeff?
I'd like to see something in the future, and that's when we had these companies. Obviously, Sirignano, we know who she is. I assume you're Mrs. Sirignano.
No, I
whoever-
work for
Fine,
CRDA.
but there's a name there. But someone behind me said Sirignano. Where I am is when something comes in with Dalco Painting Company, I would like to know, I think the residents have a right to know who the principals of that company are and where the money's going, because there's been much accusation through the years of money going everywhere but where it belongs. So I think it would help protect you and help me know who's getting the money.
Well, I think it's very specific here that this is for painting contracts in either Boardwalk Hall or the convention.
I do
center.
understand that, but I don't know who Dalco is.
They're registered with the state of New Jersey, so if you want to check them out, you could.
Thank you.
Other public comment? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll accept the motion to award this contract.
Motion. Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So ordered. Now, let me make sure I understand that I have the right order here. My understanding is the next one is Comcast?
Yes.
Okay. Comcast NBC Universal authorization to amend the public-private partnership agreement with Comcast NBC Universal for the World Long Drive event. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving an amendment to the non-exclusive public-private partnership agreement with Comcast NBC Universal for the 2020 World Long Drive event.
Any recusals? This is an approval to amend the contract for this year's Long Drive contest. Thanks to Matt, he's convinced them to lower their price a couple of $100,000 to $350,000, and hopefully they've offered additional reductions to extend it for 3 years, but this is for this year. Matt, is there anything else you want to say on that?
No, sir.
Board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to mention that without a doubt, from the last long drive that we did, the commercial that they put on TV for Atlantic City was by far the most positive thing I've seen for this city to date. And if we could get the rights to that, we should play it ourselves on the channels we could. It was phenomenal. The long drive, I don't know about, but the commercial was great.
Mr. Gant, if you could just confirm this, Larry, I believe we do have that, we own that commercial.
Yes, it ran on Comcast also.
So one time we ought to bring it and show it here to everybody.
No, it's a
to see it.
phenomenal, yeah.
It is a
There's a 60-second ad and a
phenomenal
30-second ad.
commercial.
And I think given the fact that they've been very good about this, Matt, I'd like to see you get the extension at the reduced prices.
Do my very best.
Okay. Other board discussion? Public comment?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
John Hines, Triac Streaming Network. I assume that this is actually part of an ongoing program. I believe it may have been a year and a half or 2 years ago that there was a fund reservation with Comcast and another group to jointly develop entertainment products or events throughout the city. And I think at the time the potential was 4. We hear about the longest drive, but I believe at the time I heard something about American Ninja Warrior potentially being one of the events at Bader Field. And what's interesting is I actually enjoy watching the show with my daughter. And I said to her, boy, you know, that'd be a great thing to have in Boardwalk Hall as programming. And she says, oh, they never do it inside. It's always outside. But it turns out they did an episode in the Seattle Dome. And I'm just mentioning it because if somebody's having ongoing conversations with Comcast, perhaps if this hasn't been touched as a subject, it should be touched. Because I think it's the kind of thing that would help bring, you know, a different type of programming to that facility. Obviously, Boardwalk Hall, we love this building dearly, but much like a watch, the more it gets used, the better it is. And I know we go through long periods of time where that building's vacant and it needs activity, so I think it helps to satisfy a diverse type of programming, family-friendly, a unique environment, international exposure on a network. So I would just suggest if somebody has the ability to broach that subject with Comcast, they should.
I think Spectra's here. Are they here somewhere?
Yeah, we're about.
Oh, yeah, okay. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we look at every piece of business that's out there. Right now, we're currently working with Meet AC. You know, there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of TV shows with the new tax credit regulations that have been passed. So we're actually possibly hosting something, you know, in the next few weeks. We may not all see it publicly, it's not, attendees come into those events, but the building is being utilized. Events like you're talking about, we chase down all the time. Some are available to bid on, some aren't. Some of them come with a pretty substantial underwriting that it takes in order to lure that to the city. But that's things that we bring to the CRDA and have discussions with Matt and staff about all the time.
Jim, while you're there, I'd like to congratulate you on being promoted to general manager.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
We thank you for what you do and your cooperation. Thank you. Other public comment? I'll accept a motion to approve.
Approved. Second.
Been moved by Howard, seconded by Mr. Shaughnessy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item on the agenda is the Atlantic City Jobs Training Initiative Project, amendment to the project. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority amending the Atlantic City Jobs Training Initiatives Project and accepting funds from the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development in support thereof.
Anybody need to be recused? This is a real positive move that we're doing. We have to act as the fiscal agent. Matt, do you want to describe this a little bit?
Sure. If you remember last year, this board approved a program at the convention center where the kitchen area is that's underutilized. And between Local 54, and I also want to give a lot of credit to Joe Gingoli at Hard Rock as well as being involved with this. It's a program that last year 45 students were recruited, 38 completed the program, and 30 were offered jobs in housekeeping and custodial work. And in general, these individuals come with criminal records and are prepared for re-entry into employment. So last year, Fairleigh Dickinson University acted as the fiscal agent for the Department of Labor grant. This year, CRDA, through this resolution, would act as the fiscal agent for the grant, and it would occur again at the convention center here in Atlantic City.
I think the interesting note here is that last year, I think we recruited 45 students, 38 completed the program, and 30 were given jobs. This extends this program, and our role here is to act as the fiscal agent because that's the only way we can do this because of the way 54, I think, has some other grants, and we have to keep them separate. Any board discussion?
I think it's a good program. I just want to point out that it administratively does add to the tasks that staff does, so we just need to be mindful. We're always glad to get grants, but it's not just a matter of taking the money, we're administering as well, and that's extra work for staff.
Jim?
Chairman, I spent time at the program and I was honored to speak at the graduation. I see it adding a lot of value in town and helping a lot of people that really needs the help, so I think it's a great project for us to do. And I commend staff for finding that space and utilizing that space that was underutilized.
There's no question about that. Thanks for giving the graduation speech, my friend.
How are payments made? Are they made quarterly or are they based on outcomes?
No, I think the grant's a total grant, right?
So it's acting as a fiscal agent. CRDA will receive purchase orders or invoices from Local 54. We check those with Department of Labor to ensure that they adhere to the 4 squares of the grant. If it's approved, then we pay it, and we take that paid receipt along with the approval, and CRDA will be reimbursed by Department of Labor.
All right, they're just trying to keep me in order here. Any other board discussion? Public comment? Mr. Cheatham.
Now, I've been in Atlantic City quite a while now. So these training programs. Very nice. Don't get me wrong. But the point of it is, it'd be nice to encourage people after these training programs to kind of find a home in Atlantic City. Everybody gets trained, gets a job, and they move offshore to other communities. We need those same people to be community people within Atlantic City, a little bit more. Everybody moves out. Fine, it's like you want to live offshore, that's your privilege. But we have beautiful area in Atlantic City that needs development. You could live here. So I encourage people to kind of stay here a little bit with all these training programs.
Bill, we appreciate that. I know that in some of the projects we've approved, we've had affordable units as part of them, which is an effort to keep them here. And the second thing is we're working on the grocery store issue, which would further help keep people here too. So we're sensitive to it.
Yeah, well, hurry up with that grocery store. I'm getting tired of getting in the car going all shit.
Everybody wants the action quicker.
You got that, Lance?
We're doing the best we can. And, you know, these things don't happen overnight, but we're working on it because we realize the importance of it for the people here in the city. Anybody else have any comments here? Yes.
Allison Berto, I'm curious, was there some sort of issue with how Farley Dickinson managed the grant, that it's being, the responsibility is being shifted to you guys as opposed to them continuing to be the fiscal agent?
I believe Farley Dickinson ran out of the grant. They didn't reapply for it. Local 54 applied for it. They were granted the grant, sorry, it's a bit repetitive. And then Local 54 is asking CRDA to act as a fiscal agent as opposed to a university, miles away.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Mike Lopez, city resident. When you're talking reentry and the grants and training, you're talking my language a little bit. And to what Mr. Cheatham said, just moving forward, seeing this, I read it somewhere, I guess, smaller legacy cities, what we want a blueprint off of the report last year or so, and see it happen. It's nice to see things coming into fruition, whether it's the city working with the CRDA with the city, and again, reentry. This is what we need, what Sean was talking about there too, those type of things, and it's strong. It's nice to see it coming to fruition. A lot of work to do, but lots of good stuff happening. The last probably 7 or 8 meetings. So, not to say nothing was being done before that, but it just seems the stuff is coming, even with Charles Goodman smiling. See, you got him smiling.
I do want to make a comment. Since the change in administration and the election, the city has decided to work with us. We've always been ready to work, but the previous administration under Mayor Guardian decided to trash the CRDA, and I'm saying that because that's exactly what happened, and I think those of you on the council will bear that out, and it's unfortunate because there is no reason. I mean, we have a lot at stake here. Our job is to work with everybody here, and we expect everybody else to want to work with us, and you can see the things that are getting done that we want to get done for the benefit of the residents of Atlantic City. So I just want to make that comment so everybody understands this body has been ready and willing to do those things. So any other public comment? I'll accept the motion.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Been moved by Jim, seconded by Mo. Any further comment from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. So now I gotta shift sheets here to the one where I'm in order.
At the conference.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Atlantic City Demolition Project. A supplemental fund reservation, approval of the demolition of certain properties as requested by the City of Atlantic City, and authorization for the Executive Director to add additional properties to the demolition list as needed. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving an amendment to the Atlantic City Demolition Project, a supplemental fund reservation from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund or Atlantic City Housing Fund in an amount not to exceed $1 million, and an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City, all in furtherance of the Atlantic City Demolition Project.
Any recusals? Matt, you want to talk about this? I think it's very important.
Yes, sir. The most famous demolition I think that people know about that was paid for is the Alligator Motel out on Route 40. But there's been a lot of demolition done in the city. Small houses, small properties, and, you know, this is just another extension of the commitment from the CRDA board to making improvements to Atlantic City, not just in the tourism district, but including outside of the tourism district. Visitors don't look at a line and demarcate between one or the other. It's really one city. So this money will go a long way to making improvements in the tourism district, but also in neighborhoods throughout the city as well.
And this is an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement that currently exists, and to the last supplemental fund resolution, 1.5 million. So we have committed the total amount for demolition to 6.15 million, with 4 million dedicated to the greater Atlantic City Tourism District area. The actual project budget is 5.9 million, since the second deposit of 250,000 for Rebel was not received. Discussion by board members. I think this is one of those tools that we need to be able to continue to do the things, particularly that we talked about earlier in the meeting when we talked about the variances that are happening and people wanting to reconstruct the buildings that they have. So, Lance, you want to say anything about this?
Just a little bit, Mr. Chairman. I mean, this is a very good project. It does help bring back neighborhoods when you have a dilapidated structure, broken windows, fire damaged, whatever. It brings down that neighborhood. When we can pull that building down, it gives a fresh start to those areas. Something we've been working with the city and Dale Finch's office very well, and my staff managing that very well. So it's a good project. It's money well spent in the city of Atlantic City.
Yeah, we have, and this make sure we have a $500,000 revolving demolition fund. Any board discussion? Public comment? Speedy. I'm
Yes,
sorry, Councilman Morris. I should have.
It's better, man. If you call me Councilman Morris, we need to recognize who you're talking about. We have what we call the Venice Park Civic Association Housing Initiative, where we're looking to, we met with the executive director, you know, and we've ironed some things out. We're looking to demolish homes that are not suitable because of Sandy. We're looking to rehab homes and other different things. So this would be fitting as far as what we're trying to do, and later on we'll let you know as a board what this project is. But I think this is absolutely a necessity in terms of what we need to do to get Atlantic City and Venice Park and all those other neighborhoods together to get the you know, these bad properties, you know, down. Thank you.
Appreciate that. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public? Seeing none.
He had a comment right here.
Sorry.
Matt Stevens,
Yes,
just a local guy. I would like to see like periodic reports of any addresses or blocks, lots that get demolished throughout, announced at future meetings throughout the process. Thank you.
Sure. I don't see any problem with that.
City's list, we can just.
What's
The
that?
list, yeah.
Public information.
It's public information. We don't set the list. We get it from the city.
Right.
But we can certainly share that, and I'll update the board each month.
That's fine. Good.
Other comment, possible?
Yes, Mr. Reardon.
I'm definitely all for properties in the city coming down that need to come down. And like Speedy was saying, Venice Park has, you know, done I don't know what you call that, a survey of their properties, figuring out what should stay, what should go. What I don't want to see is us just start tearing properties down, because this entire city has blocks that are vacated for decades because we just tore a bunch of properties down. And there's still properties from that same era that are standing. And I understand the fires happen and everything else, but if we could, let's just make sure that we have a real good look at these properties, because in Atlantic City right now, I promise you, there's not a long line to buy vacant land. So you want to have a bunch of vacant land in this city, it's going to end up being weed infested and dirt and rock like a lot of the other vacant lands, and eventually, if that's not maintained properly, that can be an eyesore to a neighborhood as well.
We understand that.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, our SID operation has picked up some of that. Other comments from the public? I'll accept the motion to approve the fund.
Moved.
Been moved by Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deborah. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item on the agenda is Tourism District Public Restroom Renovation Project. Lisa.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary determination of project eligibility to the Tourism District Public Restroom Renovation Project.
Any recusals? This has been a project that I think we all desperately wanted. We've asked Sasha Architects to provide a preliminary budget under their existing as-needed architectural service contract based on the design and construction services they provided CRDA on their restroom renovation projects at Jim Whalen Hall. The renovations for the, I think, 8 bathrooms that exist there, it's an estimate of $4.7 million. It would take approximately 6 to 18 months to complete, and it may require that we do it in phases, so that, and we are seeking financial assistance from the city, casinos, and the county. This estimate does not include ancillary project costs, but it certainly is one that's desperately needed on the boardwalk, and one that I think is really a proper function for us to undertake. Board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. You just mentioned the ancillary project costs not being included. Do we have any idea what that number might be?
I do not.
Tom, you want to estimate what that number would be?
Not at this point, but we're meeting with the sewer company and probably the water company, the sewer company this week, and then we've got calls into the water company.
So it's basically for your infrastructure, utility infrastructure.
So the $4.7 million does not include sewer work?
Utility work.
It includes, right, some
Directly
underground.
associated with the buildings, but as you get out and you've got lateral taps to the
Right.
main infrastructure, if we have any issues there, that's not included.
Okay.
Right, and which we still have to work through.
Great.
Tom, wasn't though the expectation that the per square foot costs that are in the projection or would be considered conservative? They're based on a cost that came out of the boardwalk hall and not necessarily reflective of what it costs to build out on the boardwalk?
Yes, but as we start drilling down on the designs,
Right.
the designs will then dictate, actual costs. We'll go out, publicly bid, engage general contractors to come back in, and then basically we'll iron those costs down, and then we'll come back to the board and get the board to approve contracts for the construction.
And again, this is preliminary determination of project eligibility.
It's just a beginning basis.
But I would also tell you, if I could add to it, that if anyone's been in the restrooms lately up on the boardwalk, they're in desperate need of renovation. And a lot of the problem is underground. The infrastructure is simply not working properly at all. It's probably been years. I mean, no one could answer me when the last time these things were actually renovated. So it's, it gets a lot of usage. And I think if you want to portray yourself as a family destination, with one of the simple things you have to have are decent bathrooms.
And the problem is Sid has to clean them. And if they can't clean them, that doesn't work. So
We've had numerous occasions this summer where the CID had to close the bathrooms because they were in such bad condition, to the point where we had to bring in porta-johns so that people could still use facilities while those were shut down.
Eddie?
Has there been any even thought of whether it would be beneficial to start from a clean slab? Some of these things are pretty beat up. Have we even thought about the idea? I mean, a renovation, I understand, but sometimes a renovation costs more than just taking it down to a slab and putting a new bathroom up. Have we looked at that?
I would imagine, Tom, that's on a case-by-case basis, because you're right, some of them on the outside are beat up, some of them look like fortresses on the outside, but the inside.
No, I'm familiar with
So
them all,
it's
that's why I'm
case-
saying, it seems to me we might be better off thinking, at least taking a look at starting from a
There
slab.
may
They
be
all have
somewhere-
slabs.
And to your point, the first thing that they have to do is basically go out and look at the situation out there on a case-by-case basis, and then figure out which direction we're gonna go.
Okay, so we're still taking opinions.
Yeah, we're at the beginning
All right,
basis.
that's fine.
Other comments from board members? Public comment? Mr. Cheatham?
Listen to you gentlemen, ladies talk about these restrooms. I thought about my wife. She used to judge a home by how that bathroom is kept. Now, you call Atlantic City your home, and your bathrooms are terrible. That means you're a real sloppy housekeeper, a very sloppy housekeeper. But believe me now, this is what people judge you by, how you take care of your restroom. So now you're being judged pretty bad, Atlantic City, if you don't take care of those restrooms. Now, I don't know what happened to City Hall, I don't understand it at all, but we used to have a lady there that had pride in what kept those restrooms being kept right. She had pride in it. We need that pride back again in Atlantic City. Now, if we gotta start here, fine. If it's gotta start in the Public Works Department, fine. But it needs to start somewhere, and it needs to start real soon, like you're trying to do right now.
Bill, I simply want to add, and I think the mayor knows this, these are the city bathrooms. We're doing this as an assist to the city because they didn't have the money to do this. So I want everybody to understand why we're doing this, and we felt that it was significant enough to Atlantic City, and I agree with your point, and that's why we're doing it. Other comment from the party? Yes, Speedy.
Yeah, I totally support this, and as a member of City Council, at least for 3 more months, I would definitely take the lead in terms of making sure whatever we could do with the mayor to let you guys know we appreciate this action, and it's sorely needed. So I think it's great, even though it's preliminary, it's still necessary, and as a member of City Council, I do support this.
Thank you, Speedy.
Very much so.
Other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the money for the renovation project.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gary. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is approval of architectural services. Approval to increase the contract for architectural services by $250,000 for a total aggregate amount not to exceed $350,000 for services on an as-needed basis through December 31st, 2020. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority increasing the spending authorization for architectural consulting services on an as-needed basis pursuant to Resolution 18-107, approved November 20th, 2018, to $350,000.
Anybody need to be recused? Matt?
This coincides with the previous resolution. This is for the professional services to design plans and specifications to renovate the existing 8 bathrooms or 8 restrooms along the boardwalk and in Gardner's Basin within the tourism district. So staff is requesting board approval of an additional $215,000 to increase the spending cap to $315,000.
Comments from board members? Public comment? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Deborah. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is the environmental consulting services. This was the one that was on my list for number 1. Approval of Spectra Venue Management's award of a contract in the aggregate amount not to exceed $1,200,000 to Environmental Design Incorporated and Brinkerhoff Environmental Services for services on an as-needed basis. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving Spectra Venue Management's award of professional services agreements for environmental consulting services on an as-needed basis at Boardwalk Hall and the Atlantic City Convention Center to Brinkerhoff Environmental Services Incorporated and Environmental Design Incorporated with an aggregate spending authorization not to exceed $1.2 million for a 2-year period.
I think we discussed it pretty much before. This is the asbestos issue. Hopefully this takes care of, there's enough money to take care of the issue. Matt, is there anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Any questions from board members? Public comment? Motion to adopt.
Motion.
Been moved by Eddie, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mo. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is Atlantic City Youth Programs, a fund reservation authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Atlantic City Board of Education and/or the City of Atlantic City to fund after-school youth programs approved by the New Jersey Department of Education in an amount not to exceed $650,000. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $650,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and authorizing the negotiation and execution of an intergovernmental grant agreement with the Atlantic City Board of Education and/or the City of Atlantic City in support of after-school or other youth enrichment programs.
I think this, any recusals? I don't see any. This is an aftermath of the discussion that came up on the Board of Education office issue when Deborah DiLorenzo made a motion that we stand for the kids in this city, and I think every member of the board did. So we were not going to let that amount of money go away, and this would reserve $650,000 for programs that were improved to improve the students, whether it be for after-school programs or educational programs to improve their skills in reading, or whatever, for whatever is approved by the Department of Education in agreement with Atlantic City. This is really an effort for us to step forward and to make a difference in the lives of young people in the city. Matt, is there anything you want to add to this?
No, sir.
Board discussion.
Is the Board of Ed still looking for the, they're not here, are they?
Not to my knowledge.
Are they still putting these programs into effect, and are they looking to utilize this money? Or are we just setting it aside, should they decide to
We're
use it?
setting it aside, waiting for people to come forth with programs that make sense for the kids.
Right, so there's no programs to speak of right now, it's just a fund
But we wanted to
reservation?
follow through on our word that we would do this.
Excellent, all right, thank you.
Well, I'm not going to vote on it, but I do want to make a comment. I do like the fact that and/or the City of Atlantic City is included, because there's some things in the near future, assuming all goes well tonight, that I'm going to ask this board to entertain on behalf of the people and children of Atlantic City. But I do have a question. Where are we with the Board of Education moving into Boardwalk Hall? Is that tabled for now, or?
Actually, it was withdrawn from the agenda, so I don't have any idea that there's anything else going. I don't know. Have you heard any more, Matt?
I was withdrawn by the board. That's all.
Okay. Like withdrawn to be entertained at another date?
Well, I think the feeling, the consensus of the board at that time was this, the way the deal was proposed, it didn't make sense for the members of the board. Other comments from board members? Public comment?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is my purpose in coming today. One, I was wondering what was happening with the money, the proposed money, and I hadn't heard anything. And I didn't go on your site to see the items, but I'm glad I did, the items for today's agenda, but I'm glad I did. A little bit to Mayor Small's question. That's what I was going, is this money being placed within the school board's budget to come up with something, or is the money standing and they have to come up with the programs for you to approve? Because when Ms. DiLorenzo first put it up, she just put that this was a money to supplant the money for the building, and was given. I didn't know that any program, and besides this, I go to school board meetings also, and nothing was discussed in terms of every program. What is good, and I'm sorry Richard hung up, you have somebody on your board now that has the expertise that deals with this and experience that deals with recreation and youth services in the city of Atlantic City. But I would like to your last point, asking, in the reading of this on site, it said this was money to supplant the idea, and so it was like an either-or situation as opposed to this and that being tabled to a future time. So I just needed some clarification, but I thank you for moving forward with that.
This is separate from any conditions, because that was withdrawn.
Okay.
This is reserving this money.
Right. Okay.
So that the programs that come before us that are worthwhile programs can be approved, and the money's there to do it.
So it has to come to you, then the school
We
board
have
or
to
school
approve- we
board?
have to
No,
set the budget.
obviously that, but I'm saying, so it goes to the school board, because there's no clear direction, even when you propose it, as to where it's gonna lie, and who gets to the benefit, or who gets to come up with the ideas for the use of the money.
Well, you got two agencies here. You got the school board and the city government that can propose these things, and we have the State Board of Education determining with us that they're valid programs.
Okay, again, you know, I'm a special ed student, so I'm a little difficult in understanding your point. If I have a program, and if somebody has a program, do they come to you? Do they come to the school board? Or how do they do that?
I think that all these programs should come through either the school board or the city. I think that there has to be some basis for wanting to approve it.
Well, obviously, it's your money, so you have to put the plan in effect as to the
Right.
direction one would go into.
But the thought was that, look, the question came up about things that could be done to enhance the educational benefit of the student.
I was there at the meeting.
So that's what we're reserving the money for, but the ideas are either gonna have to come from the Board of Education or the city government. Now, I suppose we could come up with an idea.
I was asking the action part of it.
No, if I understand where we're going with this, if someone comes to us with a proposal, we would say, take that proposal either to the city, depending on what it is, or to the school board. The school board votes on it, recommends it, gets the oversight from the state, and then puts in a funding request to CRDA for that program out of this bunch of money.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Howard, I think what's important is that the state board
Yes.
approves whatever the city and the
Program
Board
is.
of Ed approve.
Well, the State Board of Ed has oversight of the school budget, but does not have any oversight of the city's activities, so.
Well, we can use our head, we've done that
Yeah,
before.
that's
We'll
the
just
point.
work together.
I think what he's getting, it does have a program for a citizen to come in and propose something. I think that's what you're interested in.
Well, I'm not interested in, I'm interested in clarity in the process, because too often we say, oh, it's the school board's fault, and it's Creator, or it's the city's fault, and it's Creator. That's what I'm interested in. So,
We're not gonna have that problem, because those issues are gonna come forth from them.
And I think in this instance, that both either the board or the city, you know, will come with the proposal, because we would know the best route for programming, you know, for our students and, you know, for the people that live here in Atlantic City. And I would assume, I know that CRDA goes through a committee process, I would assume that something like this would be ran through the Atlantic City Committee for approval to the full board.
Which you sit on.
Yes, it will, you know.
And the authority will refer to either the board or the city, anybody who comes forward with, you know, a programmatic recommendation. So we'll have to run through one of those two entities.
All we wanna do is make sure that the money is spent, that really does benefit the kids. That's what we want. We just don't want it frittered away.
just wanted clarity.
Other comments from the public?
Yeah, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
And to Mr. Lorenzo, I'm sorry, Mr. Chief, go ahead.
You know, I'm listening to all these programs and you gentlemen talking back and forth and ladies. You know, we need to also train our young people how to work. Now, this is a seashore resort town. Okay? You need to get back at getting these young people in some type of jobs during the summertime so they'll work, learn how to work, get along with people, learn that their city needs to be taken care of, they need to be clean, the beach need to be clean. Let's put these young people to work during the summertime with some of that money. I know they gotta get education, but working education is a good way to do too. Learn how to work. Get a paycheck for what you do.
Bill, I think if you remember, we had that discussion a couple of meetings ago. It was toward the end of the summer, and this board was certainly willing to participate in that program.
Well, somebody needs to institute it because I remember that program before, putting kids to work, because I used to be involved with some of them.
And Mr. Cheatham and members of the board and the public, I serve on the Atlantic City Executive Council, which is a committee comprised of the Lieutenant Governor, Jim Johnson, the Atlantic City Projects Office, which this board has funded, and many community stakeholders in the public and private sector. And today we talked about the programs last year with both the at-risk youth, which it was a nice community partnership with faith-based leadership, churches coming to the rescue of children, the most at-risk children, and providing them with employment. We talked about expanding on that program and getting other casinos and stakeholders involved in that initiative. In addition to that, we talked about adding more internship opportunities for our young people that are, going to college or in college, and giving them meaningful job training so they can become productive citizens in the city of Atlantic City. So a lot of effort is going to be made, and it starts now. You can't talk about a summer program in April or March. The foundation has to be laid now, and all next week I'm going to the various casinos and private businesses and try to score some employment for the children of Atlantic City.
We're open to the issue there.
Yes.
Other public discussion? Yes, Jeff.
One of the things this agency could do is help stimulate the children's employment. If we took some of the ugly lots we had that are all gravel covered, and we planted grass seed, they used to be green, and we'd come along every couple of months and mow them down. So we planted them, made them look green, had the kids police and pick up the trash and the debris. There's not a great degree of skill there needed, but it gives them a summer job, and I'd like to see that.
It's like the old CCC.
Correct.
I'm old enough to know about it. Mike, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to applaud the board. And I guess what Mr. Cheatham was talking to about was the summer youth employment program. I remember being involved in that long time ago, but the kids got to work. Yeah. But again, just that the board was able to take this $650 and put it towards the kids. And from what I hear from the questions asked, my thing was going to be oversight. There's going to be strong, obviously now, a strong oversight, whether it be the city, CRDA, and the school board. So that's great, and that's where it belongs for the kids. So that's I applaud it.
Other comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the money. Debbie, you want to move it?
Sure. Move.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Mo. Any further board discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Before we get to the public comment section of the meeting, the mayor has asked if he could say a few words. Mayor, you're up.
Yes, I just wanted to address the board and the public and just let you guys know that I'm humbled for this opportunity to sit on this board. Obviously, this isn't a traditional way that you walk into a seat, but at the same time, it's an incredible opportunity that I don't take lightly. I love this city. I'm pledging my commitment, as I did to the state. I'm pledging my commitment to the CRDA board to work together on behalf of the citizens of Atlantic City. I would ask each and every one of you to get a chance to know me personally and not let any perceived perception rule the day, because sometimes, as we know, perception isn't reality at all times. So, and that goes both ways. I'll do the same. I look forward to continuing to work on behalf of Atlantic City. Listen, I grew up in this neighborhood my whole life. And I like to tell people I'm Atlantic City born, I'm Atlantic City bred, and when I die, I'm gonna be Atlantic City dead. I ain't going anywhere. And every decision I make, we're not always gonna agree. That's the nature of life. But one thing you won't fault is my effort, trying to bring developers here. I've been the chairman of Revenue and Finance for the city of Atlantic City the past 4 years through the tough times. And I've shown the ability to be professional at all times and work with people on both sides of the aisle. And listen, things aren't personal. I get it. This is the business that we're in. But you have someone who is going to, do the best job that they possibly can for the residents of Atlantic City. And with that being said, before I get into my main point, I do want to thank this CRDA board. Under this board, we've had the best relationship that we've had in the city of Atlantic City. And I know a lot of times, CRDA is a punching bag, but at the same time, we have to be honest and look at what CRDA has done. It started under then Council President Marsh's leadership, where we held monthly meetings with 4 councilmen, where we used to meet with Mr. Mulcahy and the former director, and we kept it going with Matt on dealing with issues that the council has, because the mayor has a seat on the board, and we hope to continue that. We've got a lot of things done through that meeting with the executive director. the New Jersey Community Capital Corporation is now working with the Venice Park Civic Association to turn, which once was a thriving middle-class community, back into its glory day, because after Sandy and after the unfortunate tax hike, people just left Atlantic City, and, we can't have that. Things happen all the time. So I recognize that a lot of the things that the city of Atlantic City has, received was through CRDA. We asked for more policing. You gave us class 2. We came back, knocked on the door again, asked for more regular officers. You gave us regular officers, lieutenant. You bought ammunition. Just a lot of things, cameras. And I spoke to the director a couple weeks ago. I said, unfortunately, if we had the money, we would outfit the whole city. But I know we can't do that. But, just show good faith to the residents, because sometimes people think that it's just about the tourism district, which I understand is responsibility. But a safe Atlantic City is a better Atlantic City, and I think that's what we all want at the end of the day. And speaking on a point, I reached out to the chairman and the vice chair yesterday, just for a brief introduction. You always going to know where I'm coming from. I'm never going to come in this meeting and grandstand. That's not me. I'm going to always state my position and stand strong in it, whether you agree or not, but I'm not going to come and show anybody up. So we all know what happened, and for the first time, and it's bad on all of our parts. We're not going to point the finger at the county or the city and the county or the Board of Education. For the first time recently, we all sat in a room and said, how do we fix it? But at the same time, you have residents who are facing taxes being raised at $11.3 million. I had an opportunity to get my hands on the CRDA budget, and I looked through it and I saw I believe it was 108 million that were designated for projects. And out of the 108 million, I think 67 million was available, for projects that weren't committed to. So we all know it's not about how much the tax rate is going up, it's what people can pay. So just because we have have to raise taxes 11.3 million, if the people can't afford what they're paying, people have to pay attention to the collection rate, which is the key. Which, do you want to collect 67% of the taxes because of a high tax rate when you normally collect at 97%? That's a detriment on the city. It affects the cash flow and it affects city services. So one of the things, and he said we could take it to committee, I think he's going to put me on the Atlantic City committee, is if we can come together, due to the fact that $154.5 million leaves the city of Atlantic City every year and don't come back in form of revenue streams, due to the fact that there's several properties that we know CRDA is a state agency, you can't collect taxes. If we could possibly entertain for the residents of Atlantic City a one-time pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes to offset this monstrous tax increase, because you saw the bad PR with the houses. You got people that said that they're leaving Atlantic City. And one of the things that we have to do, and I've been a champion for affordable housing in the city because of the makeup of my ward. But I understand that the city needs to change its dynamics. We need to offer more middle class and upper class residents here in the city of Atlantic City to change that shift. Because if we don't have the revenue streams and the rateable base, we're never going to get ahead. So I said in one meeting about some possibilities up in the inlet. I'm going to encourage developers to come in here, because at the end of the day, one thing that CRDA did, and I hope to talk to this board about, I believe I was in high school. I was in high school. But CRDA had a program that was incredibly successful. And what Mr. Cheatham and Mr. Garrett said about, people living here, Mr. Goodman, people living here in Atlantic City that work here. CRDA had a program years ago that catered to cops and firefighters. Right. I think a percentage of the mortgage was forgiven. The cops got a take-home car. Everyone was a part of the community, had to live here for a certain amount of time. I think we need to bring a program like that back and amend it for teachers. There's a lot of my peers that I went to school with here in Atlantic City that don't live here. We need to amend it for teachers, the professionals that are coming from Stockton, Atlantic Care. So it's a lot of good projects coming here in the city of Atlantic City. And like I said, when I addressed the media for the first time, if you're a sports team and your attendance is lacking, the term that you tell your professionals is, what can we do to get fannies and seats? In Atlantic City, my sole purpose is to get bodies and homes. And we can do it if we all work together. And it starts with the city. We have over 300 properties that we sitting on. Why are we sitting on it? Let's get them back on the tax rolls, get people here in Atlantic City, and together we can make this place all it can and should be. That's all I have for now. So if we can schedule that for the committee meeting to entertain a proposal for the residents of Atlantic City who's facing, a dire tax situation.
Mayor, 2 or 3, first of all, we'll entertain anything. I also want to reiterate that we have expressed many times to the city government that we're open to discuss anything that benefits the people of Atlantic City. It's never been an issue. Sometimes it wasn't accepted, sometimes people didn't believe it, but I think by our actions, as you know, we're spending about $24 million a year through 2026 to pay the bonds for the last recession that hit when it hit. We have tried to place as many lots as we have on it out for auction. Lance, I don't think we have a lot left, do we?
Not outside the tourism district and none that are undevelopable.
Yeah, so we've been trying to do our best to get rid of the lots, to put them on back on the tax rolls. The other thing I would add is, the only thing you gotta look at when you look at the reserve balances is that as you fund SID over the next 5 years, that takes another 30 million off the bottom line that's there. So there's not the money there that everybody thinks there is. That doesn't mean we're not open to finding a way to help you. And I think when you come into the committee, and perhaps before you come, you should sit down with Matt and sort of refine a proposal that you think Matt has sense to come to us, so that when it comes to the committee, it's been vetted and there's a reality to what we do with what we do, because it will set a precedent, and we have to make sure that we have the ability to do those things. I'm not opposed to it. I'm very compassionate for what's going on in the city, but I think we just have to have a proposal that's realistic, that's been vetted, and that you and Kathy and others have looked at, that keeps us in good standing.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay with you, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Public comment? Yes, sir.
Yes. First of all, thank you for the meeting. I'm excited about the mayor taking over and becoming taking over the city and becoming a member of this body. He already has, through my knowledge, a working relationship with Matt, with Mr. Long. He's not coming in having to learn. He's already has been a part of this, so I'm very excited about his knowledge of the recreation department. What you just spoke on in the taxes, I went to school and lived in D.C. Obviously in D.C., a lot of the buildings in D.C. are federal buildings. They don't pay taxes. But in lieu of those taxes, they paid a set monies. It was a set every year that they paid to the city. So the city, instead of getting no income from those federal buildings, they did get something. And obviously they had oversight with the House District Committee and Senate District Committees. So I'm excited about the new start that the mayor is about to take on. And I'm excited about the feelings I'm hearing in Creta, because often I've come in here and got just not, I'll keep it this way to keep it nice. Mr. Long tells me to filter my language a little bit.
We've always been nice here.
Yes, but the feelings I got was cold. I left out here on a hot summer day feeling real cold. So I feel better. In this cool fall day, I feel warm, and I thank you for that.
Give you a hug.
Yeah.
Other members of the public?
Yes, real quickly. I have a concern that has kind of been with me for a while. I don't know whether you can answer it, but Rob can take the message. But I need to know whether holdovers will be reappointed or replaced. I think it's time, we acted on that real seriously, because some people have been here over 2 years as holdovers. So I need to find out if anybody can take that message. When will the holdovers on this board be replaced or given additional years?
Speedy, I can't answer that question.
I knew you could, but I just put it out there.
I think if I could, we'd all be in good shape. I know there are holdovers here. I'm one of them. And hopefully we can find a way. But that's a gubernatorial appointment for most of these. There is senatorial appointment for 2, and Assembly Speaker appointment for 2.
Remember I said retain or replace.
Right.
In your case, retain.
You're very kind, Speaker. It's the nicest thing that's been said to me in a while. Other comments from the public? Jeff?
If I may, I'd like to see consideration given to moving the meetings to a larger quarter, such as city council chambers. Because there are people I know that don't come because they can't get in. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate your remarks about trying to get people who live in housing. I'd like to remind, as a city member of council, we're allowed to demand our directors live in town, and there are many who do not. I know not the state-appointed directors, you have no control over that, but it is one of the requirements on our books right now. So let's start there.
I think that it certainly, we'll take it up as a consideration. I don't have any problem with having a whole room full, but we just have to look at how we're going to do it. Any other comments from the public?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
To address a few things I think that were brought up into the public today about visitors coming to the convention center and boardwalk hall, as well as some of the job training we do.
Right.
Just want to address the fact that over the past weekend, we had 30,000 visitors between boardwalk hall and the convention center. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll have 35 to 40,000. As well as just this weekend alone, Mr. Goodman, we had 11 Atlantic City residents that we put to work between Boardwalk Hall and the Convention Center. So I just wanted to point that out. These are 2 buildings that are funded by the CRDA, and that's the directive that we've received as a management company to help do some of these things that is brought up to public here monthly.
I'd like to revisit my questions that I had asked, Mr. Chairman. I've gotten answers to 2 of them. Mudslingers that were paying $50,000 per month.
You mean mud share?
Mud share, excuse me, mudslingers, I apologize.
You're not slinging mud, are you?
Can we get a report on that here, that what they're doing and what they're providing us for $50,000 a
We've asked
month?
that, I think.
I believe that was emailed to you.
I would like it under a public venue. If I ask a question as a board member in a public venue, I'd like to review it in the public venue, please. Is that okay?
I mean, you want them to come make a presentation?
No, I just want somebody here, staff, you, the chairman, to tell me what Mud Share has done for $50,000 a month.
I actually think Mudslingers is a better name.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
I can get what was.
I mean, we're spending a lot of money. The idea was that they were gonna have some accountability before it was over as to what they're providing, which is sort of a mystery to begin with. They were gonna, I don't even know sure what they were gonna do, to be honest with you.
They made a presentation to committee. We emailed you that presentation. I mean, if you'd like, I can read the presentation.
Yeah, I would like to hear it. I'd like to hear it under a meeting forum. Yes.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be today. Again, I can be patient.
I can.
So we've gotten through 2 of them.
Executive director report. The next time I'll read what was emailed to you.
Okay. And I'm on the record 2 times asking about if we had any involvement in a ball that was at the convention center, and I have yet to get an answer. The proposed ball that was at the convention center, Mr. Chairman. I asked 4 things. It was in the minutes. I've gotten 2.
It never occurred.
Were we involved? Just no or yes.
It's not a question that is appropriate for public right now.
So we can't answer whether we participated?
Not yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Other comments? Hearing none?
I'm getting cold. I'm getting cold.
I'm sorry.
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to bring to your attention the new laws that were in place, the taxes on Airbnbs and VRBOs throughout the state. And the luxury tax was recently amended to include it, but City Council has to adopt a resolution for it to be in effect. Same thing with the $1 tourism promotion fee. That's on you guys. Any idea when we can do some of that? And as far as City Council, if they do it, they know they're not going to get any money. The city wouldn't get any money from it. But I have a proposal that we could take up with the legislature. We could split the hotel revenue streams from luxury taxes on hotels, motels, and Airbnbs. Of the 9%, 3 could go to the city, and the rest could go to you. That's my proposal that we could bring up.
Do you know the assembly people in this district?
Yeah, I do.
They should be the ones to make that proposal in the form of a bill.
Yeah. So I thought you guys could bring it up with them. And
Okay.
or with the executive council, with the lieutenant governor, and they could,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's just an opportunity for more money to be made.
We'll leave that in Mr. Long's hands.
Thank you.
Hey, Rob, I gotta give you something out of this.
But as far as getting the money, what's currently there is what you got.
Okay.
I believe it's the $1 tourism promo fee that you, that would be passed up and on you guys and takes up sent to Treasury.
Okay, any other comments from the public? I will close the public portion of the meeting, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.